Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. This is Anthony Atanisov with 1680 The Crow. Here's what's making news right now. Moving on to Canada and Israel, the first group of Canadians from the West Bank have safely crossed into Jordan on Monday, although Canada is still trying to figure out the best exit strategies from the area. Global Affairs Canada Assistant Deputy Minister Julie Foley says so far no one has been able to leave through the Egyptian crossing leading into the Palestinian city of Rafah.
The situation at the Rafah gate is incredibly complex, and nobody got through that gate yesterday. In terms of what we're doing, we're engaging with all interlocutors, both in capitals and in the region, to be able to get an option for people to be able to exit.
So far to date, 5 Canadians have been killed in this conflict. Moving on locally, Port Coquitlam has come to mass support in the wake of the Hazel Trambath Elementary School fire. Our reporter, Nicholas Poitras, talks to a small dog walking service on what they're doing to help teachers and students alike.
In the wake of a massive fire at Hazel Trambath Elementary, many community members in the Port Coquitlam area sprung into action to raise money for teachers and students. Shannon Bowling, co-founder of Motley Crew Adventure, set up a dog-walking fundraiser to help the school. Shannon expresses her sympathy to the kids who can't return to their beloved classrooms.
I have 2 sons that just moved on from being in elementary school, and I honestly couldn't imagine how they would have felt for their Monday to Friday life being ripped away from them. It definitely leaves uncertainty in their lives, and I'm sure creates a lot of anxiety for those kids.
The dog walking service will be donating $5 every hour they walk for the next month, with all funds going directly to supporting the school. They're open for new dog owners to join them on their walks in support of Hazel Trambath. Nicholas Poitras, 1680 The Crow.
The BC government says it's tabled legislation today targeting the rapidly expanding short-term rental market. Premier David Eby says one of the major new rules of the proposed legislation will be a legal requirement to only allow short-term rentals in homes where the owner is the principal resident.
That if you live in a city with 10,000 people or more, there will be a provincial legal requirement that you not operate a short-term rental unless it is part of your principal residence, either a secondary suite or a laneway home.
Continues to say that there are over 28,000 short-term rental listings in the province, an increase of over 20% just in the last year. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke for the first time in Parliament about the ongoing situation in the Middle East since Hamas launched its attack on Israel earlier this month. 5 Canadians are reported dead in Israel, and Trudeau is calling on Hamas to immediately release its hostages, which may include at least 3 Canadians. He also spoke of a humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the West Bank.
Canada is calling for unimpeded humanitarian access and a humanitarian corridor so that essential aid like food, fuel, and water can be delivered to civilians in Gaza. It is imperative that this happen.
Trudeau stresses that Hamas is a terrorist organization and that it does not represent the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people. Moving on to Canada, Ontario's housing minister introduced legislation today to return parcels of land to the protected Greenbelt. Follows Premier Doug Ford's reversal on taking 15 parcels of land out of the Greenbelt to build housing after a public outcry. Housing Minister Paul Calandra says the government wants to move forward on its housing initiatives after the Greenbelt fiasco.
It was a mistaken process. We're fixing that process. This legislation goes beyond fixing just one process. It codifies in law the boundaries of the Greenbelt.
And moving on to weather, well, it's 14 degrees and showers are consistently raining down with just no signs of stopping. Rain is expected to pick up later into the evening and finally dwindling down later into the night. And that's all I've got to you for your news updates on this hour. Tune back at 3 p.m. for your news and sports dates, featuring your host, Brooke Jensen. I'm Anthony Atanisov with 1680 The Crow. I'll see you back at 3:30 for your sports updates.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
too fast because my heart is going a bit too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
We're like middlemen straight from the creator making these moves.
We're all kind of misfits.
Something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important. Like usually I'll just be like, grab my arm, and then you just kind of like pull them like a T-bar, you know?
I think skateboarding is a piece of medicine in itself.
We're just doing the work in hopes that eventually we'll have chapters of other nations skate youth in other parts of Turtle Island.
It's nations, skate yours.
Nation Skate Youth started in my living room, organically. I was asked to go to Fort St. John to talk about mental health and bring skateboarding. I didn't know who to bring, and the first person I thought of was Joe Buffalo. Big inspiration in my life.
Joe came up with the name. It didn't really click at first, but after a while we made the logo and everything, and it all just came together so fast.
I think one of my main goals when I started Nations was to get more skate parks on reserves. We realized that this would be a bigger thing, to not just go to one community. We wanted to go to all the communities.
We all wanted to, create something that was like a youth program to help empower like youth through skateboarding. It's a way of getting yourself out of your own shell. And I feel like in a lot of First Nations communities, there's not a lot to do in those communities. It's very small, and sometimes you feel like you're trapped. A lot of them are really nervous when we first meet them. And I feel like when we always start with a talking circle. So it's like we tell our stories, and we kind of we try to make them feel comfortable, and tell them why we're there, and what we're gonna do in the day.
Everyone here is a new beginner or has skated before, and we're here to help each other. If you fall down, take a breath, get back up.
Everything's that way in the beginning, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel out of place when you're beginning, you know what I mean? That's normal. But once you meet your crowd, and that's half the battle with us growing up, is trying to find your people so that they grow with them from a young age as family members, and then they grow as skateboarders.
Gives you like a sense of identity too, you know? Like every time I went to school, I'd always be like, I can't wait to go skate after, or having that, something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important when you're a kid.
Especially having a brother. It's easier to influence each other to do things, and you progress faster because of that. And it's like always having a friend there, and always having that safety net in a sense.
Skating is something that we grew up doing together. I feel like that kept us close, Skateboarding is part of my identity, and my family is part of my identity.
just let skateboarding do its thing. It's that rich, you know? All we do is connect and instill that, plant that seed. It's something I never had growing up, you know?
Seeing Joe skateboard at his level and hearing that he went to the residential school and the way that kids, like, you know, oh, my dad went to residential school. Oh, my brother did. Oh, my mom did. You know, they start to relate. And I think that, you know, it's been a healing journey. Skateboarding, like I said, will take you out of all the negative, all the darkness that you feel. And once you get on a skateboard, that's an opportunity for you just to focus on something and be present.
Like even in my community, there's suicides like every year. And it's really sad because you lose knowledge keepers, you lose, you know, momentum. Like you lose just youth that have a lot of potential. And I remember Rosie, that was the biggest reason why she wanted to start Nations.
You know, to talk about alcohol, drugs, and suicide, because it's happening and they're so young and they see it and they're experiencing it. And just to let them know, like, that they're valued.
It kind of stops that intergenerational trauma because it's a lot of self-doubt, and skateboarding kind of gives you that, you know, that recognition that like it's not, yeah, it just gives you that freedom to express yourself.
Hell yeah.
So today I was skateboarding on the skate park and I was just learning. I was a little nervous at first, but then I got the hang of it. You made me feel happy. Okay, can we do that again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Okay, I'll go on this side of you.
Because he is a good skateboarder and he taught me how to do some tricks. Apple turnover and like tic-tac.
When you have someone believing in you and cheering you on, like that whole feeling, and that's how I try to do with Nations, you know, like you got it, you're there, and the just like the inspiring and like the empowerment you get from that, it's a good feeling. We want the youth to be their best selves. We want them to know that everything isn't going to be easy. But once they start skateboarding and you can see that they're pushing on their own and they're able to do tricks right away, and I think that's something that is so positive, and you know, it's gonna create leadership and create community where there hasn't been. What I've seen at Nations that makes me proud, when I ask a youth how to count in their language or say hello or thank you in their language, and they can tell me.
So kikiu means eagle, musquasses means bear, kukam means auntie, grandma, musha means grandpa, and tuk-tuk means duck.
What's your favorite word in Cree?
Eagle because I'm an eagle.
In so many ways, I was trying to find myself in skateboarding, like the community skateboarding has, which has been really fulfilling in a lot of ways. But I think connecting to my culture, you really do feel that connection with your ancestors when you do that stuff. I feel like with Nations, we're able to use skateboarding as like a tool to empower youth and to like give them, I know Rosie always said it, but like, you know, be proud of who you are and be proud of where you come from. And I feel like it rings so true in so many of the communities that we go to.
To be proud of who you are, be proud of where you come from, not to be ashamed. I feel like when you start telling them that at a young age, it's going to change the way they look at themselves, the way they carry on their culture and their traditions, the way that they will have that close relationship with their grandparents, and to learn. I know for me, I've heard stories that broke me, that completely broke me. And it made me mad, it made me angry, it made me sad, it made me pissed right off at the government. But when you're around youth, you know, you want to show them the hope. You definitely want to show them that there's hope out there.
Because it's needed. Someone's got to be here for the youth. Someone's got to be that person, that older brother, older sister needed, that kind of needed, you know? There's nothing like it. So that's why we figured give back. I'm here to teach you. You're not going to fall. I'm going to hold you, okay? Give me your hands. We're just getting started, man.
Having self-determination to be better and to create that community, I think, is something that we want to pass down to the youth as well. Show them what's possible.
Look, Joanna, hey, hey, look, Joanna, hey, hey, CGLA, hey, hey,
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm Brooke Jensen with your 3 o'clock news headlines. Justin Trudeau spoke about the conflict in the Middle East in Parliament for the first time since the Hamas attack in Israel. He says Canada will do whatever it can to help this humanitarian crisis.
Canada has committed an initial $10 million in humanitarian assistance to provide essentials like food, water, emergency medical aid, and protection assistance to those affected by the crisis in Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel. And I want to be clear, none of this aid is going to Hamas.
Trudeau urges that Hamas will release its over 200 hostages, which it could also include at least 3 Canadians. Trudeau also says that Hamas is a terrorist organization and is not representative of the Palestinian people. The United Nations say that thousands of patients in Gaza's lives are at risk due to lack of water. People are resorting to drinking from dirty and sewage-contaminated water, posing a risk of diseases spreading. The hospitals are falling apart and nearly out of medicine and power, and Doctors Without Borders are out of painkillers. Port Coquitlam has come to a mass support in the wake of Hazel Trembath Elementary School fire. Reporter Nicholas Poitras talks to a small dog walking service on what they're doing to help the teachers and students alike.
In the wake of the massive fire at Hazel Trembath Elementary, many community members in the Port Coquitlam area sprung into action to raise money for teachers and students. Devin Perrin, co-founder of Motley Crew Adventure, set up a dog-walking fundraiser to help the school. Devin shares how important it is to help out, despite it being small contributions.
Well, it means a lot to know that, even though we might be contributing a little bit, it'll help the teachers and the students in the future possibly get back to the school and back to the way things were a little bit quicker than them trying to pull things out of their own pockets and stuff like that.
The dog walking service will be donating $5 every hour they walk dogs for the next month, with all funds going straight to supporting the school. They're open for new dog owners to join them on their walks in support of Hazel Trembath. Nicholas Poitras, 1680 The Crow.
And Nicholas joins us now. Nick, can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So how many other fundraisers have popped up alongside Motley Crew Adventures?
So, Brooke, there has been a number of fundraisers and resources that have popped up in the last few days. Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West just announced the launch of a school supplies collection where members of the public can place any school materials in bins for collection. There's been a GoFundMe that has made over $11,000 in 2 days, and School District 43, where Hazel Trembath is located, is fully prepared to rebuild the school and is accepting monetary donations online.
And how can people reach out to join Motley Crew on their walks?
The best way to reach out to Motley Crew Adventures is on Instagram at Motley Crew Adventures, or contact them directly at 778-834-7139.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nick.
Awesome. Take care.
All right. Thank you. City of Coquitlam has announced Snow Angels volunteer program for 2023 and 2024. Snow Angel program is about helping people in need with clearing out snow from roadways and sidewalks. Our reporter Ugiloy Suvanova will find out who can be suitable for volunteering for this program.
The Snow Angels can be anyone who wishes to volunteer to help make Coquitlam sidewalks safer for those in need. With the record snowfall last year, Snow Angels program volunteers can be helpful for this year's snow. The qualifications for volunteering for this program is Coquitlam residents age of 16 and older with a good physical shape and capable of cleaning snow. Snow Angels can be helpful for seniors 65 years of age and older, people with disability and unable to clear the snow, not including sidewalks and driveways. The program is set from October 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. I'm Miguel for 1680 The Crow.
According to data from Vancouver Coastal Health, 6.6% of seniors in the area experience social isolation. Our reporter, Ben Bugara, has more on what's being done to tackle the problem.
Data from Vancouver Coastal Health estimates 259,000 individuals in Metro Vancouver report social isolation as a contributing cause for their feelings of stress. Retired United Church minister and member of the Brockhouse Carousdale Seniors Choir, Reverend Sharon Copeman, says loneliness is more prevalent in urban areas.
I just think there's a cautiousness that we feel in large cities that doesn't happen in more rural areas.
Reverend Copeman adds groups such as her choir provide people with a place to share the joy of music while also experiencing a sense of belonging. Ben Bugera, 1680 The Crow.
A 71-year-old man from Chicago has appeared in court facing murder and hate crime charges. Police say Joseph Zuba attacked a 6-year-old boy and his mother with a knife. Allegedly, the reasoning being their Muslim faith and an emotional result of the Israel-Hamas war. Police say that Zuba was the boy and his mother's landlord. The mother, who was 32-year-old Hanan Shanin, says Zuba got angry and attacked her after she proposed that they pray for peace. Zuba had his charges read to him this morning, and the 6-year-old boy was killed. The mother was injured but is expected to recover. The judge over Donald Trump's case has imposed a gag order restricting Trump from making any degrading statements related to his case. ABC reporter Catherine Falders reports what she saw in the courtroom.
He can still attack the Biden administration if he so wishes. He can say it's politically motivated. But the big question now becomes what happens if he violates this? His top attorney, John Lauro, said in the courtroom today that whatever order was issued, that the Trump legal team would likely appeal it. For example, they haven't issued an appeal yet. But when do they do that? How fast does this get appealed? Does he violate it? And if he does violate it, what are the sanctions that the judge said she would impose?
Trump says the order was unconstitutional, and he claims this decision will only aid him in his polls. Heading into some sports headlines, 5 sports were added to the Olympics for the 2028 Games in Los Angeles. Baseball, softball, flag football, squash, cricket, and lacrosse were all added by the Olympic International Committee. It seems the addition of cricket has caused the most excitement, with it being extremely popular in Southeast Asia and the UK. The last time the Olympic stage had cricket was an event in 1900. Lacrosse was last played in London in 1908, whereas the other 3, including softball and squash, have never been played in the Olympics, despite being played at other multi-sporting events such as the Commonwealth Games. The organizers say they are hoping the addition of these sports will demonstrate the creativity and openness of Los Angeles. And while we're on the topic of Olympics, the sliding events that were supposed to take place in Milan and Cortina for the 2026 Winter Olympics will now have to be held outside of Italy. The reason for this is the reconstruction of the sliding track. The track was originally built in 1923, but closed in 2008. The Italian government initially wanted to spend $53 million, but soon realized the actual cost would be at least double that. Giovanni Malago, the game's chief and the president of Italy's National Olympic Committee, says they're looking for another option within the country. However, if there is none, the sliding events will be held in either Switzerland or Austria. There has been no final say as of yet, but they are expected to make a decision and it be announced by the end of the year. The Canucks play the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow at 3 p.m. They currently have a 2-game winning streak against the Oilers. this is the first time the Canucks have started out the season with a double win in 7 years. The soccer match between Belgium and Sweden was cancelled at the halftime after 2 Swedish victims were fatally shot roughly 5 kilometers away from the stadium. The teams were tied 1-1 at the halftime when the Belgium Crisis Center declared a threat level at maximum and urged all Swedish supporters to remain in the arena until it was declared safe. Into some quick entertainment news. If you want to distract yourself with some music, you can join Swifties everywhere for Taylor Swift's concert film, The Eras Tour. The film immediately shot to #1 in the box office this weekend, making between $95 and $97 million, according to AMC Theaters. The show will be held in theaters for 13 weeks, with at least 4 shows a day, 5 days a week, being Thursday to Sunday. Getting into today's weather report, unsurprisingly, it's raining. It is Vancouver, and it will be for most of the day, slowing down towards the evening. And prepare yourself and maybe your dog, if you have one, for possible thunderstorms late this afternoon and early this evening. Despite the showers, it is still warm with a low of 12 degrees and a high of 16. And that was your news and sports headlines for 3 o'clock. I am Brooke Jensen, and thank you for listening to 1680 The Crow. We will be back at 3:30 for another news headlines.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
listening to 1680 The Crow, and this is For the Record. I'm your host, Ben Bugera. Loneliness and social isolation is an issue that affects many across the Lower Mainland. Data from Vancouver Coastal Health estimates that 259,000 individuals in Metro Vancouver report social isolation as a contributing cause to their feelings of stress. The data also shows 6.6% of seniors in the area experience social isolation, which is second only to middle-aged people at 7.1%. 47% of respondents to the survey reported having only 1 to 3 individuals they could confide in. I spoke with retired United Church minister and member of the Brockhouse Kerrisdale Seniors Choir, Reverend Sharon Copeman, about how her choir helps provide a safe space for people who may be experiencing social isolation. Vancouver Coastal Health reported recently that 6.6% of seniors aged 65 and up reported that they experienced loneliness, which is second highest after middle-aged people.
Wow.
Yeah, no. How important is it to have communities like Brockhouse that provide a community for seniors who are experiencing loneliness?
I think it's vitally important. I'm aware that there are community centers in other jurisdictions that around the Lower Mainland. There's senior centers in every community that I can think of, and they're well used, I think.
In terms of music, and specifically referring to the Brockhouse Choir, it's something that really is universally enjoyed by everyone. So how do you feel like choirs like yours provide a space for people to share their joy of music?
For us in Brockhouse Choir, having the space and the opportunity to be together and to sing together. We had the illustration of how important it is to have somebody singing actually beside you, around you. When COVID happened and we did a sing-along thing with our director, she was the one who was not on mute, and the rest of us around the city were, on Zoom, and but we could only hear ourselves. And I think we had not maybe been as aware of that, of the importance of having people around us until that happened. And yes, we were singing with Elsie because we could hear her voice and hear her instrument, her piano, keyboard, but we couldn't hear anybody close. And so when we got back together, although we were cautious, we were not sitting as close together as we would normally have been. Many of us commented on what a difference it made, how much better we felt singing physically together with others around us. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
While you still were able to continue meeting together virtually, the importance of having that space, that community in person, really just an important thing that to have that experience, that communal togetherness?
Yes, I do. Having the Zoom thing was helpful. It was very important and very helpful. And it did relieve our loneliness, our sense of isolation, I think, a lot. We used the Zoom every week in our regular practice time. And but I was aware that the important thing with that was that Elsie invited us to comment on the songs and to share our feelings about the songs or our experience of the songs. So there was conversation as well. And that was, I think, maybe as important as the singing. Whereas when we're together physically, conversation is not as important because we're singing together, we're enjoying the music together, we're hearing the harmony around us and the sense of togetherness.
What do you think the scale of this problem is around the area of Vancouver, especially for seniors? And what do you think needs to happen? Do you think there needs to be more resources like Brockhouse to help tackle loneliness in Vancouver?
Well, I think that the senior centers are important, and but I think there do need to be more opportunities. Churches provide one opportunity for sure, and I think the fact that so many of the churches are mostly older people, maybe that's why, because younger people are doing other things and finding other ways of being together. But for seniors who have grown up in the church, at least, that context is another place, another option.
Obviously, with your experience in ministry and in pastoral care, you've done a lot in terms of just reaching out to people who are experiencing isolation. Do you think, like through churches and through senior centers, do you think there's enough work being done to reach out to those people who may feel that they can't reach out?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think that there are introverts and extroverts, and people on the borders, close to the center of that line. And so for some people, I have friends who are introverted who have said to me, COVID really wasn't a challenge for me. I was comfortable being by myself, and these were people who lived alone. So, there are differences among us. However, those introverted friends also expressed their appreciation for the fact that I was reaching out to them. So I think, we need to be aware of each other and be aware of the needs that are around us wherever we are. And having those centers, those locales that are focused on that is vitally important.
In terms of just having those groups available, what do you think singing does to provide that gives that sense of togetherness for people experiencing isolation? I
think singing is for me, it's a spiritual experience. So therefore, there's a deeper sense of awareness of others' spirits as well. So music touches us deeply, whether it's singing, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's listening. Music touches us and gives us an opportunity to go deeper. And when we do that with other people, there's a deep connection that is very special and very precious.
Do you think that oftentimes it's just simply reaching out to your neighbors, checking in on people who may be isolated or living alone in your community, just simply checking up on the people around you?
Yes, I definitely think that's important. And I think it's something that is hard to do. I find it's particularly difficult in Vancouver, and I don't know why. I think perhaps it's because we have a very gentle climate, and we're not aware of needing each other as much as we actually do need each other. I grew up in Saskatchewan and at a time when there was a lot of snow, and we actually needed each other to shovel each other out and push each other out when we got stuck in the snow. And I think it made a difference in how I felt about my neighbors, and my awareness that they were there for me and I needed to be there for them. And when we moved to Vancouver, I was aware that people tended to shy away from greeting one another. I think in Vancouver we are much more unaware of our neighbors, and we need to be more aware of them, because there are people around us who actually probably deep down are wishing that they would know their neighbors better.
That was Reverend Sharon Copeman speaking on social isolation and loneliness on For the Record. I'm Ben Bugera, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello, this is Anthony Atanesov with 1680 The Crow. We've got sports for you. Here's what's making noise in the sports world. The Vancouver Canucks won their first 2 games of the season, making it the first time in 7 years since doing so. This could be a promising sign for the Canucks, with some fans thinking that it could be their year. Canucks coach Rick Tocchet highlights the Canucks' determination to come back a goal down, but has some criticism to offer after the Canucks were massively outshot.
Well, you always take the negative and positive from a game. Hey, we're 2-0, and we should be happy with the fact that, we won our 2 games. But I'd be kidding ourselves. That game we had a few guys I didn't think they played well in the sense, and I don't want to say they didn't compete. I just didn't feel some guys were there. We had some guys really work hard.
Elias Pettersson was one of the 3 stars to cap off the first week of the NHL season. The Vancouver Canucks continue their road trip against the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. In soccer news, a soccer game in Belgium was abandoned at halftime after 2 people were shot dead near the stadium prior to kickoff. The game was part of a 2024 Euros qualifier match between Belgium and Sweden. The Union of European Football Association released a statement calling it a suspected terrorist attack. Both teams decided they did not want to continue playing after halftime, and the match was concluded with a result of 1-1, with fans asked to stay seated at the King Badwin Stadium. It is confirmed that the 2 people killed were Swedish nationals, and the shooting took place approximately 5 kilometers from the stadium, and the suspect is still on the loose. As a result, Belgium's National Crisis Center raised the terror alert in the city to the highest level. More on soccer and the Euros. There are 6 other games in the Euro qualifiers today. Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal easily won 5-0 against Bosnia and Herzegovina, and this is likely Ronaldo's last tournament in the Euros for Portugal. Moving on to baseball, the general manager of the Miami Marlins, Kim Ng, has parted ways with the organization after 3 seasons.
After 3 seasons heading up the Miami Marlins front office, general manager Kim Ng parting ways with the team. The Marlins' groundbreaking hire of Ng made her the first woman general manager not just in baseball, but any of the 4 major North American sports leagues. She hired manager Skip Schumacher in 2022, who led the team to the playoffs in his first year. But Ng declining a mutual option for her to continue with the team, there's speculation that other teams looking for a change in their front office might be making offers. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Ng made headlines when she became Major League Baseball's first female general manager. On to some baseball playoff action. Game 2 of the League Championship Series is currently underway, with the Texas Rangers up 5-2 at the top of the 6th inning against the Astros at the Minute Maid Park. The Rangers shut out the Astros last game and are still undefeated in the playoffs. More with baseball. Game 1 of the League Championship Series between the Arizona Diamondbacks and Philadelphia Phillies is set for tonight. It's a surprise to many baseball fans after both teams shocked the baseball world. They knocked out Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves and subsequently swept the LA Dodgers. The game will be played at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. On to soccer. News on Saturday that Qatari banker Sheikh Jasmine bin Hamad Al Thani was withdrawing from the bidding process, appeared to leave the door open for British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe. But the owner of the petrochemicals giant is reportedly only set to buy a minority of 25% stake. That would leave the Glazers as majority shareholders of the club after years of campaigning from fans to drive them out. Moving on to football and NFL action, we have the Dallas Cowboys facing the Chargers in Los Angeles at the SoFi Stadium. Game time is at 5:15 Pacific time. Now into NHL news. In NHL, we have 5 games on tap. First overall pick sensation Connor Bedard will be playing his 3rd NHL game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Puck drop is at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And those are your sports updates for this hour. Our producer today was Madison Buckingham. Please join us tomorrow morning for your news updates at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm Anthony Atanesov. Thank you for joining me on 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.